All right, I just got done working legs, so it's very hard for me to sit down, but I've gotten a couple questions asking me about how did the transfer from Army National Guard to Air Force Reserve go? What does the process look like? What did I have to go through? So, I went from active Army to Army National Guard to Air Force Reserve. So, the first question I always get asked, do you have to go back to boot camp? Well, you have to go through boot camp. Guys, I'm not a recruiter. I don't know everything about everything. So certain questions you should just reach out to your local recruiter and ask them about it. But as far as my specific situation, no, I don't have to go through boot camp again. I also talked to the Navy. I would not have to go through their boot camp either. I looked at possibly being an MA over there, but I decided to go with the Air Force Reserve Security Forces. Now, if you have MOS that directly transfers over to the Air Force, i.e., 31 Bravo Military Police, you're good to go. Transfer directly over to the Air Force Reserve. I don't have to go through boot camp. I get to keep my rank, and I'm already in the MOS, so I don't have to go through any training. I can just switch my name tapes directly over. Now, if you're somebody who is reclassing or switching your job and you're switching branches, they might try to take a rank if you're an NCO, but you have to fight for it. I apologize for any background noise or taking down a tree next door, so just saying in advance. So that's the stipulations. They'll try to take a rank, fight for that rank though. If you're going from Army to Marine Corps, you got to start completely over. You're not keeping rank, you're starting completely over. And I think the Coast Guard has a program where you can go through a shortened boot camp. I don't know. I didn't look at those two branches. I looked at Air National Guard, Air Force Reserve, and Navy Reserves. Not really interested in going active duty right now. I just bought a house, as you can see. I want to stay in the state. I'm not getting any younger. I want to have a family eventually, and I don't want to, be moving PCSing to base to base to base. So, no boot camp. Switch directly over, just changing name tapes. As far as my process went, I'll just tell you really quick. I got a hold of I talked to a Navy recruiter, I talked to an Air National Guard recruiter, and I talked to an Air Force Reserve recruiter. I always tell people, talk to different recruiters. You're going to get a lot of different answers. Some recruiters are hungrier than others. Some will do a lot more. My Air Force recruiter did way more than he had to do for me. I could still ask him for things, and he will still help me, even though I'm already in now. So, with that being said, looking around, call recruiters that are not in your area. Obviously, they can't recruit you because it goes by a territory. If you're in a certain area, then you belong to that recruiting station. They'll recruit you or vice versa. But you can talk to whoever you want, ask questions, ask a lot of questions. Talk to different recruiters. I talked to a recruiter all the way that was downstate New York because they were the only station that was open at the time. Talked to him for probably about 40 minutes. I talked to our Air National Guard recruiter probably for like 40 minutes, 3 different times. The reason why I didn't join the Air National Guard is because they were complaining about my general score. The chief said that they didn't want to entertain the exception to policy. Even though I was already qualified to come over, they didn't like my general score. They wanted me to retake the ASVAB, so that's why I did not go Air National Guard. Also, Air Force Reserve has AGR, ADOS positions. AGR stands for Active Guard Reserve. So I want to try to get that retirement. I want to try to get that active duty pay. AGR is literally gem in the reserve world. If you can get it on ADOS or AGR orders, you're living life. You're active duty with all the active duty benefits, working, getting those points for retirement, but you're not stuck on some military post somewhere, depending on where you're located. So I reached out to the Air Force Reserve recruiter. I told him about the general score thing. He said, I don't know what that chief is talking about. Excuse me, we'll take you, we'll snatch you up, and they did do that. He even went as far as, and I said this in my last video, let's wait until October for when the fiscal year rolls over. Let's see if some bonuses roll through. The thing is, the Air Force does not have problems with retention. People are not really getting out like that, like the Army and the Marine Corps and all these other branches, because of how they treat you. So far, I've been in the unit 3 months, and I feel like I'm on vacation almost compared to when, I'm not saying that the Air Force is, cake, because it really depends on where you end up, what you're doing in the Air Force. But so far, my experience, it's been a good one so far. I'm trying to think of any major So you're pretty much just filling out paperwork. What I will say is this, though. The Air Force is stingy when it comes to recruitment. Obviously, as I said, they don't have retention problems. So if you want to come over, you better not be flagged for PT. You better not have profiles. You better not have any of that stuff, because they flagged me for a profile I had 5 years ago when I was on active duty, which I haven't been on a profile since active duty. My whole time in the Guard and my year and a half of active duty time in the Army National Guard, no problems. Passed a PT test before I got out. So the fact of the matter is, make sure that stuff is cleared up. Make sure you don't have any open profiles. Make sure you don't have any medical readiness problems, because that will come up and they will flag it when it comes time to switch over. Also, and this is another thing that not a lot of people know, whenever you sign a new contract, and I'll say this again, whenever you sign a new contract, your inactive reserve time starts over. You sign an 8-year deal every single time. Unless it's the same contract, then your IR time doesn't matter. So, say you sign like I signed a 4-year with the Army, active duty Army, right? Did my time, got out. Still had 4 years, right? Joined the Army National Guard. When I signed that contract, the 4 years started over again. So I had to get released from the inactive reserves when I switched over. Trying to think of any other hiccups. I mean, my recruiter did all of the work. He is real deal. So if you get a good recruiter, you're not going to have issues where you have to do a lot of the paperwork's going to be jacked up. Make sure your awards are switched over when you're switching. I mean, just do your due diligence. Ask questions. Make sure things are squared away. If you have a good recruiter, you won't even have to worry like I did. Super easy process. I will be drilling 30 minutes away from my house instead of 15, 20, which kind of sucks. It's only an extra 10 minutes, but it's actually on a military installation. We're not in an armory anymore. Thank God. Excuse me. I'm going to miss the Army. It's always going to be a big part of who I am. I'm dropping that stuff off though. When I switch over, I'm not in that mode anymore. It's just, I'm going to adapt to the new culture. And like I said in my last video, it's scary, it's new, but if you want to go places, you're going to have to be uncomfortable sometimes. And that's fine, that's okay. People need to realize that. Don't be afraid to look at other branches. But that's literally what the transfer was. I talked to a couple different recruiters, started the process. They asked me for a ERB, DD-214s to make sure I had honorable discharge. And the National Guard, you only get DD-214s for active duty. I think it's like an NGB 22 you get for, I think, the National Guard service. So he needed my separation papers, which I jumped a couple ranks. I went up right to pretty much the 2-star and a Chief Warrant Officer 4, and wanted my papers expedited because I didn't want a big break in service, which they worked with me. I got that to them. I mean, most of the stuff, if you're in the system and your stuff is put in correctly, they can find a lot of your things. It's not that hard. So it's literally that easy. Talk to a recruiter. They're going to ask you for some paperwork. Make sure anything old medical is squared away. Make sure you have passing PT, and just come with a good attitude. I mean, it's too easy to transfer, guys. You just got to get with a recruiter and make sure that you're squared away and you have an honorable discharge. But that's it. If you have any other questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. As I said, it's too easy. Certain questions, though, guys, real quick before I go, talk to a recruiter. Don't just look up YouTube videos and ask guys like me. Yeah, I'm going to not lie and exaggerate things, but at the same time, again, talk to multiple different recruiters. Ask questions. Look up the regs. Do your due diligence, because once you sign that contract, you're locked in. So, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.